Playing chords on bass was not very common, maybe just 15, 20 years ago. I pride myself with being very early in this field, and my inspiration for it was a bass player called Colin Hodgkinson, who had a fantastic group called Backdoor in the early 70s. Might even have been the late 60s, I'm not sure, but around that time. And he was the first person I heard doing chords on bass. It does present certain problems, since on a normal bass, as I see it, only has 4 strings. I know people are nowadays used to playing 5 and 6 strings, and even 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 strings, where it becomes less of a problem. But then again, it becomes less of a bass also, and it becomes less of an issue. You can then redefine what the instrument is. And no criticism. I mean, everybody does what they're passionate about, and I have full respect for people who do that, and it's all cool, it's all good. But now, if you play like a more traditional form of the instrument, then you're facing these problems. That how do you express a very complex chord that on a piano has maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 notes, and here you have 4 strings. And then you have the other problem is that the lower you go in the range of notes, the less notes you can put together without it starting being really thick and crumpled and hard to distinguish what the chord is. So, the way I think about this is memory. Short-term memory plays a very important part in music, just as it does in language. If we didn't have short-term memory, you would not understand what I would be saying, because everything is dependent on you remembering the word that preceded the word I'm saying right now, and the word that preceded that. So the whole sequence of things comes from me saying things in a way that you can memorize and then put together the whole understanding. So for instance, if I play an arpeggio, say like, you will hear it as a chord. Particularly if I do you will hear it like this. And so we can use that. So for instance, if I play a few chords that kind of establish a tonality, then if I play an incomplete chord, our memory will fill in what is around it to give us the idea of what chord it actually is. And another thing that I want to stress is also that chords are the result of collision of melodies, really, because because yes, you can look at chords as individual units of music, but when they really work is when they form floating melodies that come together. That's where voice leading and piano technique and everything fits in. And it's much harder to do on bass because we have limited movements. But really, that is how it works. It expresses melodic forces, and that is when it becomes effective. So when I come to this point in this song, then when I play this chord, this note is understood even if it's not played. And basically, what it's a E flat 7 plus 5, sharp 5. But what I'm playing actually is just a D flat, a G, and a B. So, but just the context of it makes it has to be this very chord. And another thing I'm doing here is when I get to the point where I'm playing this chord here, it's kind of hard to stretch and do the chord like this. But it doesn't need to be, because I can just play this note and you will still remember. Yep, that's the beginning of Blue and Green, which is a piece that Bill Evans wrote and Miles Davis modified. It's a very nice piece to do on bass. Very, it lends itself very well to chords on bass. So, but if you take, for instance, here now the first chord here you have to make a decision. For instance, this first chord is a B flat major 7th sharp 11, and ideally it should have all these notes in there, and preferably the voicing should be something like that. But here we can make either the decision to use the third, which would be the D, or use the F, which is the 5th. You see? But really, the character of the chord, of course, is the melody note here, the top one, which is the E, which is the flat 5 or sharp 11, whatever you want to call it. So you could actually even just play those two notes, and you would still get the character of the sound of the chord. You hear it? So if I do, you fill it out. But in essence, you don't really add to the experience. It's like the bass note and the top note, the melodic parts of the chord, are more important. But here is interesting. If you take the second chord, which is a A7 sharp 9, here the two important notes are actually the collision between the major third and the minor third. So these two notes really matter for the character of the chord, and the third most important note is the 7th. And actually, the A itself is not that important. Because if you think about it, like, it creates the idea of the whole chord. Whereas if I would go and play the root, the A, it would sound wrong. It would sound like I'm playing a minor chord. So you need this, or this with a 7 in there, and at the end, the whole chord. So that's without the A. You see, the context of the whole thing just creates, even if we don't hear the notes, you make up the whole story, even without putting all the notes in there. And it's a very good field of experimentation where you can take a piece of music and really try out how can I represent these different chords with less notes and with whatever I have available, because less notes is a necessity because we don't have many on bass. That's it.